have to make sure that our data sets, our data strategy, our data ecosystem is not just limited to what rest of the world has. We will have to walk a little bit longer to make sure that our data ecosystem is a lot more useful than what it is today. So that's a huge part about data. I mean, just to give an example today, coming from Siemens, I can tell you, a standard size of a factory, now please don't question me what's the standard size, I'm just quoting somewhere what I read somewhere, is a smart factory generates a data close to 5 petabytes. It's 4,000 HD Netflix movies. I mean, just imagine, how do you structure that level of data? How do you know what's important, what's not important, what you should look at, what you should not look at? It's a different ball game, right? So it's easier to say that I need a data strategy and let's put together a data strategy, but the nuances that go behind again are very, very different. So that's really about the data. Now let me come to the fourth part here, which is governance. I'll not go through each of those circles or boxes and the text, but let's understand philosophically. As we said, at the center, it's not people alone now, it's people plus AI. So the governance model that we always had was always about thinking people. Now, you have added another element to the workforce here. You have really added a different infrastructure, and intelligence sits in that infrastructure. It's going to talk to your customers, it's going to talk to your employees, it's going to talk to your partners, and you need to know that. So when you say governance, the governance now has to be approached from two directions. One is people, and second is the technology side. When you say people side, you really have to go ahead and upgrade or evolve your business content guidelines as to what's the right thing to do with AI, what is not right thing to do with AI, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what decisions you should be making, what decisions can be offloaded, what is the red line that you must not cross when you're using AI. Those are all the behavioral things that you need to put together for people who are going to be working with this intelligence, right? Because there's a human tendency, once things start getting easier, why not? Why not? Why can't I put in more data? Why can't I make my life easier? But then one has to be really careful. That's the governance people. Then the technology governance is going to be a lot more interesting. I think trust got talked about earlier, and IT team or the technology guys who are looking at the technology aspects in the organizations will have to develop a very continuous observability, because you have to observe these agents. What are they doing? You need to have the metrics to know, did they cross the region in the data that they shouldn't have crossed? Did they make a suggestion that they shouldn't have done? Did they go ahead and consume a lot more tokens, being more technical here, that they shouldn't have done? Is the cost of running agent is a lot more than what you expected? All of that really means governance from the technology side of it. So that's how governance is going to evolve over here, which is really a combination of how you look at people and technology, which is basically the intelligence together. So with this four, I'm not going to spend too much of time in the interest of time. Of course, there are a whole lot of key applications in different verticals, how it can be used. I already touched upon certain industrial use cases, right? I'll not really go there. But I would rather just touch upon one last thing over here, and I really added this at the end. I wasn't too sure, but it's really about how do you now adopt AI. So you have built your people, you've not built. I mean, you're in the process of building people. You're building your infrastructure. You have great data ecosystem coming in place. You're continuously working on your governance part of it, right? So this is one thing that I really got from Zenov, and I should give them the credit. What happens in the organization? A lot of low-hanging fruits are taken up, and they are shown as success stories, and AI stops there. But that's not the real AI adoption. It's really an iceberg. There's a whole lot that's going down there. I'm very confident organizations will have to look at their fabric very closely. New roles will emerge. Somebody will have to be making decisions on how the AI should be used, what KPI should be looked at. If it's just left at the top end, just saying, take a couple of use cases and you're done, you're going to have a couple of isolated AI success stories and you're done with that. as an enterprise, we are not going to be seeing the benefits that you can see. So there's a whole lot that's going on here, and it's not just one-time exercise. Like organizations evolved back to the industrial revolutions, how organizations evolved in digital revolution. Like we really got roles like cybersecurity officers. We really have CIOs, something that we had not thought about in industrial revolution. Similarly, we will see a lot more roles coming up over here. Again, in the interest of time, just two examples as to how these two companies really made a huge benefit. Rather, they got extracted huge benefit by putting AI in place. One I got from Bloomberg, and second is from Wall Street Journal. Feel free to find this out. You'll find a lot more details. But it's amazing. I mean, the people, those who are really taking it up, they're putting it to use, and not just stopping at POC. They are seeing real benefits over here. Now, just to close, so this is what we really talked about: this people, AI-ready talent, infrastructure, which is really about compute, power, connectivity, data ecosystem, structured, secure, trusted. But for India, we need to go way beyond this, and governance, which is really about innovation with responsibility, keeping people and intelligence in mind. This revolution is working at a different rhythm. We must not approach the way we approach digital revolution. The time is of essence like never before. So the organizations, the enterprises who learn faster, who experiment faster, who adopt these things faster, who are bold enough to challenge themselves, their own fabric, are the ones who will really succeed. But then at the end, it's really going to be about doing things together. The more industry works together with academia, with governance, and vice versa, I really think we have a great shot of having a very successful future with intelligence for all of us. Thank you for listening.
First, let me thank CII for giving me this opportunity to be here. And Mr. Sangupta, caveat once again when I start that I work for Oracle, so I talk a little more of data. So pardon me for that. I keep on doing that. So yeah, the biggest trend that we see today, we work with a lot of manufacturing companies, as you said. we have again caveat. I work for Oracle, so I keep on saying this. We have an Oracle version called 23 AI, and as Anjali was saying, there was a time I used to write code in the beginning of my career where I used to take data from an actuator and say what it should do next. That was where it started and where it ended. Nothing happened with that data that I stored at the back in an older Oracle version or a Sybase or somewhere I used to store. But that is where the world is changing now. Today, manufacturing industries have become extremely cautious about the fact that they are sitting on a treasure trove of data which they were not utilizing. Companies like Deloitte work with us, in fact we are working somewhere together. We work with them today now to go back to the customers and tell them what they can do with their data. They have their manufacturing plants, it can be a discrete, it can be process manufacturing. How can they improve on their machine maintenance? How can they improve on their availability of spare parts? How can they even do much better in terms of production? I'll give you an example, steel plants, process industries in oil, in mining, they're extremely touchy organizations. Their demands fluctuate, as a result of which the production that they create sometimes go into storage. They cannot evacuate the material from their plant very fast, and it means money, right? Money gets stuck, capital gets stuck. I will not name, but we are working with few organizations, very large and even which is smaller than them, in analyzing the data to tell them in 15 days or some time ahead that they can put a machine into maintenance because maybe the production needs to be cooled down a little.
But that meant that use cases or implementations were very narrow and only limited to specialized tech teams. Businesses would have to struggle to understand how can we use this. I think Walmart was one of the first organizations to use machine learning in order to make sure that people are buying the right combination they are coming for. Right? If a father of a child walks in to buy diapers on Sunday, they would just place beers next to it because that's what the algorithm told them, and that's kind of makes sense. Now, with the advent of accelerated computing and so many powerful chips from NVIDIA, from Google, and Gronk, all of these TPUs, LPUs, and GPUs allow us to run such complex algorithms at minuscule fraction of second, thus thus allowing everyone to just test things out, be it a product manager or a technical product manager, right? You can just test an idea in a matter of minutes or in half a day and then say, yeah, you know what, let's build this. I think that's one of the key things.
Fair enough. Something that I could take away was apart from the Walmart use case, which was some of the first ones or the early ones, adopters of machine learning for new people or shopping analysis, but also the democratization of the availability of people. So that is one technique that has certainly happened in the last 3 to 4 years, and you're seeing that has a significant role to play when it comes to the entire scheme of things of ensuring that the entire availability or democratized availability of hardware or resource, which is absolutely keenly tied with the AI scheme is used. Fair enough. I think I'll just move to Suraj. We were talking about large behavioral models, right? So something that came to my mind is that when you're talking about this and large behavioral models, you're talking about personalization. You're talking about increasing the level of personalization using AI by a good 20-30%, which is a good jump. So I think 2-3 use cases that has come to my mind. I think maybe the medical industry, maybe lifestyle management, maybe productivity in general. So if you could shed some light as to how you see that this LLM shift from an LLM is going to kind of impact these couple of use cases or anything that you want to kind of highlight for better understanding of the audience. Okay, so LPM shift from LLM is not a point. Like LLM is always a foundation layer for machine to understand the language, text, and multimodality. But we are lacking in the one point: how to understand a human being. Human being behavior is very dynamic, very unique. Like if you can describe human being into multiple data points, you can find out complete human meta into different ways: genomics, geopsychology, medical, the day-to-day life activity, even the digital data points. Now we actually engage most of our time with the digital devices, and that is also data points how we consume the information. That shapes our mind, our body, our environment. Even the AQI level of this room also indirectly, directly impacted your digital screen time. That correlation does not make any sense to multiple people, but there's a sense, and that's all like research is published. So the point is, all the data points we're talking about in the human modality. There's a theory called nature versus nurture. The 50% context is involved, 50% theory. But all these data points are correlated to each other. And there are segregated studies and siloed industry exists today. Someone working on the neuropsychology, someone working on medical AI and all. But we're lacking into something that is how this data point correlate. If I'm talking about a genomic level, then how your genomic is markers is or biomarkers is like affected by your environmental or your health, your food, the multiple things. And this correlation only possible with this LBM model we are building because the segregated data points is available, but the real-time correlation is very much important. And that can only done by this self-supervised model, RL based. So what LBM do is understanding the human being, it is understanding the episodic timestamp of each and every individual, 30-minute timestamp you can think around, and understand how this all the action, even every human being produce more than 10,000 unique data points every day, and how these data points are correlated. That is what LBM is doing, and then only we can see, okay, when correlation done, then we also understand the causality. When causality also understood, then we understood the root cause level. If some certain things happen, then we have a history data points. Why this, when this initiated, how this happened, how this impacted over the time. So if you go to a doctor with a medical condition, they may ask you for a diagnostic report. And with that diagnostic markers, they can suggest you medicine. But doctor have a limitation to understand how it is originated from. And because of this LBM model, you can see the past episodic memory or journey of this individual and the root cause level identification. And it also implementation not only in the medicine but multiple personalization. You can think around content consumptions. LLM as an identity layer, LBM will use by the LLM for better personalization. Now LLM only understand how you chat, what is the context, but in future it will understand what is your current mind, what is your state of mind, what is the energy level, what is the, how you understand better, what is the learning curve you have, and what is the neuropsychological or adaptive understanding. ChatGPT just introduced ChatGPT Health. You upload a medical report, they can talk about around that. But that is also again a silo based, like it is only specific data point they are capturing, and there is complete black box. What if there is a models? Just giving an example, so it will be summarized in the one line. Suppose you have an AI company or digital twin that understand all your data points and perspective. You want to purchase a milk. Suppose you consciously, subconsciously going to Blinkit or any grocery shop buying cow milk. And now AI company like LBM can help you to better decision making on your buying capacity also. Like you should not buy milk, cow milk because your goals is to save money. So you can swipe with oat milk, 70 rupees will be saved. At the same time, it will also balance your lipid profile because it is directly correlated with the ABO gene that we got from multiple biomarkers. So that's how the cycles and decision tree will be more transparent, more like auditable and decision understanding of how these data points are connected. So that is what LBM is.
No, I think fair enough. A few important points that immediate alarm in our head is about what about our privacy? So if you could shed some light on that, please.
In practice is something different, and in ethically it is something different. The privacy is a main in practice. We understand that there is no privacy. We upfront, suppose you want to go from this location to airport, you have to give the permission of your location. And we don't understand like how these data points are being utilized, right? Even a lot of things, we talk about something, there's a cookies, is transparently, we get the advertisement. We even consciously or unconsciously you give the permission you don't know about. So the point is, there's a consent mechanism, DPDP, GDPR already followed.
Like there should be a consent that how your data is being used and how you are getting benefit out of it. If you want to utilize the data points for your own sake or their company's sake, then that is what all your like intention, all your decision. So DPDP rules and there should be a consent mechanism that will be followed. And here in our platform is always be open. Like I am not asking for the data points, or my platform is not asking for multiple data points. You are as a user coming to us and say, okay, I need better personalization. So these data points are required. I am upfront with the consent, my like conscious consent. I am giving this type of data point by your. So because it's very sensitive data points like genomic marker, so you need to keep your swab sample, saliva sample, blood sample for that type of analysis. So it is completely on the consent basis. But how I am utilizing that data point in my personal practice level, that is up to me or up to the company level, as you know. So that's it.
Fair enough. I don't. So